We're continuing through 1 Corinthians. This is an interesting book as it's talking about how, essentially in this section, how to behave when you're, doing church. And so here we are, 1 Corinthians chapter 11. We're going to be in verse 17. I'm going to start here. It says this. Now in the giving of these instructions, I do not praise you, since you come together not for better, but for the worse. For first of all, when you come together as a church, I hear that there are divisions among you, and in part I believe it. For there must also be factions among you, that those who are approved may be recognized among you. Therefore, when you come together in one place, it is not to eat the Lord's Supper. For in eating, each one takes his own supper ahead of the others, and one is hungry and the other is drunk. What? Do you not have houses to eat and drink in? Or do you not despise the church of God and shame those who have done nothing? What shall I say to you? Shall I praise you in this? I do not praise you. What was going on? So they would gather together in these church environments, but based on certain kind of factions and divisions that were happening in the church, people were getting special portions of food. Some of them were just getting absolutely drunk and kind of using some form of Christian liberty to proclaim that this is what we're allowed to do. All the while, there are other people that are just straight up hungry. It's unbelievable, the kind of, disgusting reality of how people were working together in the Corinthian church. And Paul is like, what is wrong with you guys? There's no way I can be proud of the fact that you guys are having meals together when your meals together are only showing the problems in the church rather than being a blessing and being a time of genuine fellowship and encouragement and unity and there's all that stuff. So what do we look at this, right? There's a couple of things. First of all, we've always got to check our hearts, right? In the church, out of the church, are we better than somebody else? Well, in light of Christ, we're all on the same lower rung. Right? There is not a single person that I'm better than. There's not a single person that I'm worse than. Same for you, right? In the eyes of the Lord, well, we were once dead and sinful, but then praise God by his grace and mercy, he gave us life. And so therefore, we ought to be able to look at every person on a common playing field. However, Paul has to come around and he says, listen, you know what? You guys that think you're high, you need to come down low. But you guys who think you're low, you got to realize that you're much higher than you think, right? And so there has to be this tendency of every person, while there is some hierarchy in the church, for sure, for leadership and all those things, but together we're all unified because we ought to be on the same level. That's why I love a lot of what we do with River Rock Church, is that you have our times of fellowship after services. Everybody gets to eat as much food as they want. Everybody has an opportunity to sit in any chair and any seat that they want. There isn't a special group here and a special group here. And oftentimes people may congregate and gather together and people that they know. Most of the time, new families are also sitting right next to old families because we want to get to know one another. Genuine fellowship is able to take place. And you know what? What I could say is perhaps a critique of even some of the things that we see in River Rock Church is those who choose not to partake on a regular basis. Those who just would rather not be a part of those things, those moments of fellowship, but just kind of come in and come out. Why would you do that? When God gave us this beautiful opportunity, that doesn't mean that you don't have something to do on a Sunday afternoon and you got to get home, whatever. But that kind of consistent sort of sense, it's like, I'm going to come and then I'm going to go. No, why don't we come and stay and allow that unity to be built amongst one another? That's what makes a church that's able to last, that's going to be strong, that's going to be encouraging. And let's find ways to pray for one another, encourage one another, and never elevate ourselves above anybody. That's the heart of the Lord. That's the heart that Paul's pushing. That's the heart that I want to be able to see throughout all of River Rock Church. And you know what? I'm so thankful with what I do see.